Let's dive right into this explainer and cast our minds back to a time long, long before human history. Exactly 66 million years ago, our planet was this thriving, lush paradise. And for 150 million years, it had been completely dominated by dinosaurs. They were the undisputed masters of Earth, perfectly adapted to their environment. Across the continents, these giants dominated every single landscape you could possibly imagine. We're talking massive tyrannosaurs hunting through dense foliage and giant herbivores traveling in these massive herds that would literally shake the ground as they walked. Life had flourished exactly like this for over 150 million years, and they were completely unaware that their final day had already arrived. So, let's look at the invisible descent of a cosmic threat approaching.
While the dinosaurs were just going about their daily routines, far beyond our atmosphere, this massive asteroid was hurtling through the freezing vacuum of space, 10 kilometers wide. That is a cosmic mountain roughly the size of Mount Everest, and it was a completely invisible threat, having traveled for millions of years, locked on a direct collision course with Earth.
Now, what's really wild here is the speed. It was moving at 20 kilometers per second. To put that into perspective, that is roughly 20 times faster than a rifle bolt. There was no warning, no slowing down, just this unrelenting force closing in on a completely oblivious planet in mere moments.
As it finally slammed into the atmosphere, the incredible speed of the rock actually compressed the gases directly in front of it. This generated friction so intensely hot that the very air turned into a glowing fireball. For a brief, absolutely terrifying moment, the sky above Earth was actually brighter than the sun itself.
Which brings us to ground zero, the final seconds at the Yucatan Peninsula.
Down below that blinding light in the sky, in the warm waters and ancient forests, life just carried on as normal. Animals were moving through the shallow seas right up until the exact second the asteroid hit, at over 70,000 kilometers per hour. The impact released energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs, violently shaking the ground as the planet absorbed one of the absolute greatest impacts in its entire history. It's really hard to wrap your head around the visceral contrast of that exact moment. Just seconds before, you have a peaceful ecosystem of ancient forests and shallow seas, and literally seconds later, the ocean instantly boils away, solid rock melts, a crater hundreds of kilometers wide forms in a total flash. It's an instant shift to an apocalyptic landscape.
From there, we see the global shockwave as the entire planet convulses.
You see, this wasn't just some localized explosion. Millions of tons of vaporized rock erupted aggressively into space. If we trace the timeline, at 0 seconds, you have the impact and the vaporization of rock. Just seconds later, powerful shockwaves travel across the planet, triggering massive earthquakes that shake the continents to their core. Then, hours later, these monumental ocean waves, triggered by the violent shifting of the Earth, race across ancient seas and completely obliterate coastlines thousands of kilometers away.
But the worst was actually yet to come. We enter the long night, the darkening of Earth. As the immediate fires and waves kind of subsided, a much quieter, slower, and far more deadly threat blanketed the globe. High above the planet, massive amounts of dust, soot, and gases spread steadily through the atmosphere, basically acting as a thick shield. Sunlight literally disappeared, plunging the world into a freezing, prolonged period of total darkness. Day became totally indistinguishable from night. And this triggered a devastating domino effect of ecological collapse. First, the sunlight is blocked. Without sunlight, plant life dies. Without those plants, the giant herbivores run out of food and perish. And finally, without the herbivores, the massive apex predators starve. The food chain completely unraveled, step by step. The greatest creatures Earth had ever known were facing total extinction.
So, looking at this total planetary collapse, the blocked sun, the freezing temperatures, the starving ecosystems, we really have to ask ourselves, did anything actually survive this?
Well, that brings us to a new dawn, the survivors, and the next chapter.
The asteroid absolutely ended an era, for sure, but it didn't kill every living thing. Some small mammals and reptiles managed to hide and hold on. And remarkably, one specific group of dinosaurs survived the long night. Birds. So today, every single bird flying above us is a living descendant of those magnificent creatures. When you look out your window, you are literally looking at the legacy of the ultimate survivors of the Chicxulub impact.
The impact ended one chapter, but it was the necessary catalyst to begin another. From the ashes of this disaster, a completely new world emerged. Because the giant dinosaur predators were gone, mammals finally had the opportunity to expand across the planet. New, diverse ecosystems formed in the recovering light, and millions of years later, this exact chain of events would pave the way for humans to appear.
In a single day, a rock from space rewrote the history of Earth. The dinosaurs ruled for 150 million years, yet their reign was ended in an instant by an invisible threat from the stars. It really makes you wonder, considering how drastically our world was shaped by a single, random cosmic event, what other invisible threats are out there, just waiting to rewrite history once again?